following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
Hey guys, it's Trinity, and you're watching the Insider's Edge podcast.
Hi, everybody. This is former WWE superstar Al Snow.
CW Anderson.
Sean Oliver.
My name is Eugene.
And you are watching the Insider's Edge podcast.
Now get on the
Train.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Insider's Edge podcast here on the WZWA Network in conjunction with Blue Wire Hustle. I'm your host with the most on the West Coast, Karlifornia and Philly. So good to be here tonight. I've got a glass of red. I am in the mood for a great conversation here, and this is an honor for me because this person that I'm speaking to here today, she has been a professional wrestler. She's also been a stunt woman. She can act. She's got a Bachelor of Business Administration in Accounting and a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. See, she's essentially a superwoman who can literally do anything. She can probably also sing and dance. She can likely draw very well. It's possible that she's a fantastic boot scooter, and she's absolutely drop-dead gorgeous. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you all this head of hair right here, the one and only Trinity. How are you, my friend?
What an introduction. Oh my God. Thank you.
I do it every time. But I'm glad. And it is an honor for me to speak with you today because I used to watch, NWA TNA when it first started back in the day. And I was a very big fan of yours back then. And, a very big fan of that company during that time period. So this is fun for me to talk about those days. But the first question, Trinity, as usual on the show, we usually ask, how did you become a wrestling fan when you were a young woman?
Well, it is funny because it's weird. I wasn't necessarily a wrestling fan because, right. When you're a kid, you whatever your parents are watching on TV, and nobody watched wrestling in my family. And I was always outside playing, not really a big TV buff. And it wasn't until I got older when my friends watched it, and they always talked about it, and I would watch it like here and there, and I'm like, I can do that. And I'm like, and then one day I think I just said, I want to do that. I'm going to do that. But it was funny because I kind of was hearing about stunts at the same time as wrestling. So stunt work kind of came first. It's really whatever would have dropped in my lap first, and stunt work did. But I never think I got rid of the itch of wrestling. And then it wasn't until midway in my stunt career that I got handed a script to coordinate a movie about backyard wrestling. And then I was on the prowl for a ring, and there happened to be this kid that was on the local news where he was getting in trouble because he had a backyard ring. And I went to him to buy his ring, and I'm like, I need a ring. I need some wrestlers. And he hooked me up with the school that was local that the Mikey Whipwreck and Amazing Red and all those guys went to. And I went to train there. And it was kind of around too, like 9/11, where the film industry was kind of slowing down. So I started training with them, and I went on a couple of wrestling shows with them, indie shows. And then it all started from there. We were invited to TNA, and it's all history from there. But it all just kind of fell in my lap. But it's a great story and a great adventure, and I loved it.
Excellent. So that's how the roller coaster ride began. Before I get into that, though, the stunt work thing, I need to shine a light on this because, this is a crazy area to be working in, doing stunt work. And for everyone that's watching at home, look, I'm going to have to name some films that you worked on because I was incredibly impressed with some of these. Anaconda, Big Money Hustlers, which I find hilarious.
See, Posse, there's a connection with wrestling again with that one.
Exactly. Daredevil, School of Rock, Spider-Man 2, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, War of the Worlds, Indiana Jones, and of course Sex and the City 2, which I thought to myself, what stunt work needs to be done for Sex and the City? That's nuts. But I just wanted to note there's plenty more, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, just so you all know. But this is a hell of a resume here for you.
And that's just the movie.
Exactly. So how did you get into this kind of work, and just tell me about that. This is crazy.
Okay, so now I do have to backpedal a little for my childhood, because my dad didn't have any sons and he owned a motorcycle shop. I was the second child. So the first daughter was the daughter. Then I came out and I was like the tomboy that he got on the bikes, the motocross, the motorcycles, the quads, the trikes, jet skis, everything. So I pretty much was in training and didn't realize it to be a stunt woman. And when I always was looking for a job, it's like, what am I going to do? I don't see me sitting down behind a desk. And family members were like, that lived out in California, like, you have to become a stunt woman. They did. My uncle was a race car driver, and he's like, we're doing a benefit for the stunt guy. You got to come out here and become a stunt woman. And after college, I was like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm moving out there. And I decided to become a stunt person. And I went into the live stunt shows at Universal Studios, Waterworld stunt show. That was like, I'm dating back, because 25 years. I am doing this 25 years. Anaconda was like one of my first movies, which is funny that we were just talking about that the other day. But so I went to some training, and then I went to some live stunt shows, and it just all, ballpark from there. Awesome. This is exciting.
Wow.
Exciting. You know what I said, I'm going to go become a wrestler. It was like 4 to 6 months I was training. I went to TNA, and then I was on TV with them, and then eventually WWE knocked on the door. So it was awesome.
That's amazing. And
I'm a New Yorker. We go for it.
Excellent. And I have to tell you right now, I'm popping so much for that New York Italian American accent. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorites. Just before I get into talking about wrestling, any injuries or scary moments in your stunt career? There has to be some stories there.
Believe it or not, you're going to say that, but it's stunt work. We're so safe and calculated, and it's always about safety first, that I have very minor, nothing injuries from stunt work. Believe it or not, I've been hit by cars, jumping off buildings, like crazy stuff, harnesses and on fire. And I have such minimal injuries from that. My big injuries are all from wrestling.
Of course it is. Of course it's wrestling.
With all the stuff I've done from a kid growing up, like crazy, rollerblading and bikes and everything. I'm sure everything, when I did break something or hurt something, it was like hanging by a thread by the time I got through my childhood, then stunts, and then to wrestling. That it was just bound to happen.
Fantastic. So you do some wrestling training at that school you mentioned before, and I wanted to bring it to your first match. It's the 4th of October 2002. You face a lady by the name of Phoenix, but we all know her as Beth Phoenix. This is, from my research, this is your first match at NECW at the Good Time Emporium in Somerville, Massachusetts. Is that correct? And tell me a little bit about it.
It's such a long time ago. It's like such a blur. Like all the indie stuff is really such a blur. And I feel like, those things just like came and went. Like, I remember it, but it was like unfortunately, it was like a minor thing. I don't even know was I going by Trinity? Because I feel like I had like name issues in the beginning, like who had the names and fudging around. But that's like I think that she was great to work. I remember one girl was difficult to work, but she was great to work with. But it was just like a quick, in and out. They didn't really give us like great times, but she was great to work with. And I do remember, because then when we met again, in WWE, it was like, oh my God, remember we worked together? But, like I said, the indies were a blur. I was just like traveling with my team and like getting on shows and not knowing, what the heck was going on. Because indies are a definite an experience, should I say.
I can imagine. And from my research, you weren't known as Trinity yet. Your name was just Stephanie on that match, apparently.
Star, I think I was trying. And yes,
yeah.
And there was a place where I couldn't use Trinity. And, I don't think until you get on TV, then you're Trinity.
Exactly. Okay, fair enough. So I also noticed during your indie days before you get to TNA, you have the chance to work with a legend of women's wrestling, Mercedes Martinez. I just needed to bring that up.
Yeah.
Could you tell
And
me a
I
little
think,
bit about her?
yeah, she was the difficult one. That's funny. She was the difficult one. She wasn't like the nicer one of the bunch, unfortunately. Sorry to say, but you weren't. You know when they're interviewing you, you probably didn't say nice stuff about me. I don't know. I don't know when she gets asked. I never seen any of her interviews, like how she felt about it. But she was she didn't. I don't know. I think she was the one that was like trying to be like, oh, so you want to be a wrestler?
Right.
Show you the ropes, and I'm like, bring it, because like really that was the least of my thing, like worrying about laying it in. And I liked it more real too back then. It's like, I'm not an actress, I'm a stunt woman. So it's like I'd rather get hit and then respond to it than respond to a fake one. But yeah, she laid it. She was I don't think she wanted to do some move, but it's all good. I was again new, so I don't even know how those matches. Like when I'm like my worst critic, when I watch those matches, I'm like,
Right. Yeah.
but we're wrestling and we're really, it's, even though what it is, it's physical. That's what I'm gonna say. Wrestling is physical, and that's real.
Absolutely. And I'm sure she tried to test you, and I don't know why she would, because you're Italian. So that's just a big mistake out of the gate there.
I'm such a baby face, and it's like, I loved the work. I loved to wrestle. So it was like I come in like so excited, like to get beat up, and they had fun beating me up.
Brilliant.
Truly was.
So how did the opportunity to work for TNA come about?
Well, we were working on indies, and the group that I traveled with, the SATs, Chris Devine, Quiet Storm, and Red, they were all like great. Where showing me what indies to work on to like get noticed for either WWE and TNA. And I think they were invited to Georgia. I forget what the promotion was, but Bill Barron's, and when we did a match there, then we were invited to TNA to do a dark match. And I was feeling like alone for a while. I just wanted to wrestle. They were trying. I think the SATs were already on the show, or Red, and they were all trying to get on. I think they were trying to get Quiet Storm and Chris Devine on there. So when they did that match and we got invited to do a dark match, I was Chris Devine and Quiet Storm's valet. And
yeah.
They didn't really want me there, but it was like we got invited as a group. I think it just helps to have a valet, a cool valet. Jump off the rope and do anything you needed to do. So when we got there, then TNA just wanted us. It was like I was in heaven. I'm like, I was in my glory.
That's fantastic. When you first get there and you're in the company, who are some of the people that you first got along with well backstage?
Goldilocks and believe it or not, Desire, awesome. And all the announcers, oh my god, give me their name, because I'm like, I get so excited that I just start forgetting names sometimes.
You mean Mike Tenay and Don West? Or
yes, they were the best. They were so awesome. Everybody was really very welcoming in the beginning. You knew everyone was welcoming. I know there's some hazing, but everyone was welcoming, and good, because I'm very respectful. I'm like, people felt like, I didn't do enough to pay my dues, but I did indies for, the whole beginning. I worked for free. I gave them everything. I wanted to be a wrestler. Once I commit to something, that's what I want to do. And I trained in a school, and I trained every day almost, because I went to the school 2 times a week. And then I bought my own wrestling ring, and they would come to my house and train 3 days a week. And I drove them all around, and we went to indies. So like I go all in. Like when I was coordinating that movie, I bought the ring, I went to the school, I paid the money, all the money up front. They kind of screwed me out of that, but it's all good. I feel like it's the money I paid for that. Look where it got me. Like I trained there, I bought my ring, I went onto all the indies, I went to the dark match TNA, and then I signed with them, which then eventually got me to WWE. So it's like all worth everything.
Absolutely.
That I had to deal with, because there's a lot of BS in there too.
I can imagine. 29th of January 2003. In my research, this is the debut match. You team with Kid Cash, defeating Desire and Sonny Siaki. And even as nerdy as I'm going to be, in 6 minutes and 18 seconds, by the way. This is your debut match. How did you feel, for the first time performing, on one of their weekly pay-per-views?
Oh, amazing. Well, it was a little bittersweet because my team got mad at me that, we went there as a team, and then they, when you start working for a company, it's like they own you. They get to do what you want you. And I'm like, if they would have said you can't work with Trinity anymore, they would have did it in a heartbeat, and they said, we want to put you with somebody else. And my team was kind of mad at me, but I'm like, I don't know when you work for someone, you don't have a choice. You got to do what you're asked to do. And, it was a great opportunity, and, they were going to work too. So it was all going to be good, I thought. And I was excited. And Kid Cash was so nice in the beginning. Like, we meshed as a great team, and to work with Desire and Sonny Siaki, oh my God, it was awesome. And I think we meshed as a great team, and our storyline became, I think, epic in my eyes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great stuff. And speaking of Desire, I wanted to give her the opportunity on this show to have herself spoken about, so people out there can learn a little bit about her. Tell me what it was like working with her, and do you have any fun stories of her as she obviously became a friend of yours?
Oh my God. I feel like we had the greatest storyline, her and I. They built, because we didn't really have a women's division. So it was really just like her and I in the beginning. And we were great friends in the locker room, which is funny because we were like against we had like the biggest heat between us. And I feel like it was such great heat. I mean, we were such great enemies, babyface and heel in the ring. But behind scenes, she was such a respectful, like one of the most respectful girls in the locker room. Like really, her and Goldilocks were the really only two girls in the company that respectful, awesome, great friends, stick together. And, I still am great friends with Goldilocks to this day. I still talk to Desire. Love them both. But I loved work with her. I mean, we had some great matches. They let us do such great things. The company, I love what they let her and I do. And oh my God, we were like in the crowd, in the stands, in the ring, in the locker room. She would just beat me down. And then unfortunately, she had that accident. But it really turned out to, work for her benefit because she got to come back. And then it was like our heel babyface turn. Just like I said, they let us then come back and do a whole other storyline. And we went from Tennessee to Florida, and we were just beating each other up the whole way through. And my most favorite storyline, and then mine and Kid Cash is like the great stories, great matches, great work, great memories.
That's great. And, I was watching all of this at this time. I was, 2003. I was 15 years old. Be still my 15-year-old heart. I had fallen in love with Trinity. Big fan.
That's so awesome.
26th of February 2003, you wrestle ODB on Explosion, and I thought it was interesting to mention that then because 10 years later there's a rematch, and we will get to that later on. But she seems like a lot of fun.
It's so crazy how, right? There's probably like 5 or 8 names that I've run into in the beginning that it's such a blur, but then once you bring it up, I remember, and then we're all in the big light, like fighting each other still. That's pretty cool. Yeah, there was like Alexa Saray, ODB, Phoenix you mentioned, probably others, but those stand out the most. Yeah, it's funny because we still talk, her and I, on Facebook. ODB, she's like all over the place now.
Yeah, I've seen her on her travels with her food truck and all that. So the 19th of March 2003, I thought this was interesting to bring up because it's a 3-way with Kid Cash and Amazing Red for the X Division title. You're still early in your wrestling career. How did you feel being thrown into the deep end with these two lads?
Well, I've trained with Red. That was like one of the people I went to school with. Loved his wrestling style, emulated it a lot. And, you know, once working with Kid Cash, he was so helpful learning from him. I loved both their styles. I loved wrestling with them. I loved learning from them. They were so great to work with me like that, because that's like a big push. They were so awesome to do all that stuff with me and, you know, wrestle me. So I was so excited. I mean, this is like the trail that I wanted to go, because I'm like, I was a stunt woman. I wanted to just work. I wanted to do everything. I wanted to jump off the top of the ropes, everything. I wanted to do it. So working with them was giving, you know, TNA was giving me the push and the opportunity. They were giving me the push and opportunity. I was getting to be crazy. I loved it. I don't care. I just wanted to wrestle. I don't care if I had to take big falls, big hits, beat up, whatever. I wanted to do it.
I love it. I love the passion. I love it. It's awesome. And in June of that year, I thought this was hilarious, considering your friendship. You turn heel by choking out Goldilocks backstage. I thought that's fantastic, and something that you certainly must remind her of as the years go by. And you solidify the heel turn by aligning with the one and only Vince Russo.
Well, that's what I said. He was in my head. He was making me evil.
It must have been great working with Vince, because, you know, he's from New York as well. He's Italian. I'm sure you two got along very well.
So great. I went, you know, when they come at you with these opportunities and he wants to, I'm like, I was so honored and excited that, wow, Vince wants to be, you know, work with me, and I get to do stuff with him and learn off of these, you know, really I have to like pinch myself all the time, because I'm like, I got to be in the room with all these legends, and, you know, you're on the dance floor with them. It's just amazing. Like I still get chills just thinking about it. And I'm like, really, did that happen? Was I there? You know, I wish I was there so much. I wish I was still there sometimes, Ed. But the fact that, like, I think back, and then when I get to do these great interviews and you guys are awesome and know the stuff so much of bringing up, it's like, wow, you reminded me, and I love it that I get to go down memory lane again with you guys. It's awesome.
Me too. This is like the best thing that's happened to me in a long time. This podcast started because, well, there was nothing to do during the whole COVID lockdown here in Australia, so we started this podcast, and I've had so many great conversations, and this one is already off to a fantastic start.
No, I think those podcasts are great, and I'm not so computer orientated and like locked into these things, so I'm not really used to it. You know, it's like, you know, a hard time to lock me in. And not because of any reason that I'm like, I don't know how to sit down by these computers. And I wish that I was better at that, because that was something that people were doing. You know, I did have to do a couple of stunt ones on it, and I was always like, you know, this is a pain in the neck. I got to get on this Zoom, and I got to get on my phone. But I'm learning to like it much better. And like, you get to connect with awesome people. I cannot believe you're in Australia, literally.
Yes, Perth, Western Australia.
One of my favorite places that I have not visited yet. It's on my bucket list for sure. But,
well, you better do it, and you better visit my city, because I'll cook you a good old Aussie barbecue, mate.
Now, where are you exactly?
So I'm in Perth. It's on the western side of Australia. It's actually the most isolated city in the world.
But I've heard of Perth, so that's cool. But
yeah,
Australia is amazing. It's so sad that, like, you know, everything went to a halt with you know, this pandemic with traveling. You know, so but we'll get back.
We'll be there soon. And another, you mentioned her name before, Alexis Lurie, as many will know as the one and only Mickie James, the legend herself. You worked with her a bit, and I wanted to ask, were there ever any talks back then about a women's division, about bringing in a championship belt? Because it seemed like you're working with, you know, Tracy Brooks, Angel Williams, aka Angelina Love, ODB, Malia Hosaka, all these women in TNA, and it feels like, to me, they're building you as their kind of like Alundra Blaze. You're like the woman of TNA. And it made me kind of think, why have they not put a championship on her? Are they building to that? Do you know anything about that?
when I was there, no, there was never any talks. But I think they had so much thought, like they were moving, and I don't even know, but never any talks. But and I loved what I was doing. I mean, I was getting to do so much cool stuff that I wasn't even thinking about it. And I did get to wrestle all the women that came through there. But yeah, I was always shocked that they didn't do that sooner. I mean, I don't, unfortunately, I don't watch it now because I'm bummed when I'm not there, so I can't always watch it. I turn it on here and there, but never talks when I was there. But they were definitely giving me such a great push. It's unfortunate that like our relationship severed a little, like when I went to WWE, but I'm always so thankful. They gave me such a great push, and they were making me their woman star, but they didn't, never talk of a women's division, which would have been great while I was there. I even think now, I'm like, how do you not bring me back as, even if I like came back as the, you could rate anything. Like I just show up. I'm so pissed off and disgruntled that everyone else is getting these stars, and what the hell about me? I was like huge back then, and I still think I am, and I'm conceited, and I'm going to take you all down. I mean, there's so many storylines and so many ways they can go. And I'm not even a writer. I'm like, how are they not wanting to like write this stuff in? And then, when I was there they did bring me back for that women's pay-per-view, but I'm like, they should have done something right there still. But I don't know. I think they're always having issues or have other things on the agenda that are more important. But it's still an exciting story, and you never know.
I mean, it's like you say that, and the wheels are spinning in my head. Imagine you rocked up, and you're like, "Hey, whoa. 03, 04, I was there. I was the woman of TNA. You're all talking about a women's revolution. I was there. I started that shit, motherfucker. You could do that shit, and then you go after the women. You go after women there, the women that or the Knockouts champion or whatever, and you be like, hey, I'm Italian. I'm a badass. I'll kick your ass right now.
I still think I got it. I'm a stunt woman. I'll kick all your asses. There's so many storylines. Whether I win, get beat up, or I say, yeah, you didn't mean anything. You're not my cup. I'm going for the top. Like there's just so many ways. And again, like I said, I'm not even a writer, but the creativity in my mind with this, just from watching it and being a part of it, there's so many ways.
Yeah, and even if they think, oh well, it's been so long, maybe the audience or you've got the footage. You've got the footage. You can air the footage, and you can bring everyone up to speed.
Exactly. They used to make the greatest video packages that I used to love. When they opened up, when Desire finally came back. Oh my God, I used to look at those videos and be like, this is awesome. I would get so excited and be shocked, like, oh, I want to see how this turns out, I would get so excited. So there is so much you could do with videos and editing. And yeah, and even if some people don't remember, they would know once you got there.
That's it. And another thing I wanted to bring up, because I interviewed this lady about 2 weeks ago, September 13th, 2003, Trinity defeats April Hunter to win the vacant CSWF Women's Championship.
History, it's hard.
April is obviously another very talented lady and can do everything just like you. Did you two get along?
Yeah, we had a lot of great matches and fun. I think leading up to that, yeah, we did a couple of mixed, right? I think we even did like an amazing, either a 6 or an 8-person match. Yeah, I always had fun working with her. She was great too. Yeah,
because I just felt like you two would have had a lot in common with the
work. She was a good worker, and she was like, a lot of times, I do a lot of the like high flying stuff, and a lot of the women wrestlers couldn't, brace stuff. So that's why I loved wrestling the guys, because they could like throw me around, fly, and catch me when I want to jump off of everything. So I loved working with the guys. So when you got like a strong, good wrestler to work with, that was fun. Like Desire, they were really good. They could always, do all the high flying stuff with me. I loved. And she did all. And I could actually brace her because I was strong, believe it or not. I know I'm little, but don't be deceived. And people say, you're a wrestler? Aren't you small? I'm like, wow. Guys,
they better watch their mouth. That's all
exactly.
So there's one other thing I wanted to bring up here: the New York connection. Glenn Gilberti, Johnny Swinger, and eventually at one point, Big Vito LaGrasso I know he's only part of it for, I believe, 10 episodes of the TNA Weekly pay-per-view, but you know, you're essentially with Glenn and Johnny, who Johnny, as far as I'm concerned, is an unsung hero in the wrestling business. But please tell me how fun it was being in a group with these guys.
Oh, see, there's, you know, for a short time that I was there, I really got to do some amazing things. Like when you're bringing them up, I'm like, oh my God, another great thing. They were awesome and so welcome. I had so much fun. I was very good friends with Johnny Swinger. Like, so we were, you know, he was an awesome, you know, guy, and, you know, very good to the females, like, you know, straight up and just nice to us and respectful and awesome. And Glenn was just such a funny guy, and they were great to work. We came up with some great, you know, skits, and we really worked together as the New York connection. I love that. I wish they took that further and longer. I thought it was like a great, you know, group and storyline. Another thing they could have went so many different ways with. And but again, we had such fun matches. Oh my God, I got to do that stretcher match with them. I got to do the pay-per-view with them. We got to have such great you know, tag team matches. A great experience. Look at you just having fun with your little cigarettes, your wine.
Sorry.
I'm jealous. We should be like off the Zoom and in Australia.
Yeah, sorry if I'm making you jealous with the red wine and me having a fun time here. But it seems like you're having fun too, even if you've only got water on you. But like, yeah, you're right. I feel like the New York Connection was a really fun group, and I don't know the background of what was going on behind the scenes. I kind of feel like maybe this might have been one of the times where Vince Russo might have left, and because that makes me think why Vito might have left, because I know Vito and Vince have always been very good friends. And soon after that, I believe the group kind of splits up, and pretty much I think Glenn leaves the company, and I don't know if Johnny sticks around, but I just wanted to put that out there. I kind of feel like that's maybe why it cut off short, because Vince would have been, you know, big on this idea because he's Italian. He's from New York.
Like we were a force to be reckoned with, man. We were solid. We would like strut around the park, the three of us. Everything we did was like, New York is in the house. I feel like we could have conquered everybody, but that's probably why we were too tough and too strong. We were probably trouble, so they had to like dismantle us. The whole world.
One thing I wanted to bring up, because this was like a really important era in TNA, was when they had their first, like one of their first big pay-per-views, which was Victory Road 2004. And, you know, you had this open challenge, and I watched it earlier tonight, and I was like, man, like Trinity cut a hell of a promo there. She's showing she's got chops on the microphone. Obviously, we already know she's fantastic in the ring. She does that moonsault where it doesn't seem like you ever make a mistake with it. You never overshoot it. You always hit it fantastically. You wrestled Jackie Moore, who obviously Hall of Famer, legend, king, probably kick my ass, Glenn's ass, Johnny's ass, all of us guys. Real badass of a woman. Huge match for you in your career to be wrestling her on pay-per-view. You get the win as well. That's huge. So again, I feel like they are anointing you. Eventually, it's got to become a point where you're the women's champion of TNA. Doesn't happen, but please tell me the opportunity of working with her.
Oh, when you bring, as soon as you mentioned Victory Road, yeah, things are just starting to like go bing, bing, bing in my head that are so awesome. But yes, to know I was going to wrestle her and the match we were going to have. Oh, so again, I'm like a kid in a candy store. You know, I was so new to this and green, and I come in and I'm just getting all these amazing opportunities. I am like so blessed and thankful to those, like, you know, whether we like, you know, I got stupid at the end and sometimes, you know, I didn't do or say the right thing. I was young, you know, but I'm so thankful to TNA and Jeff Jarrett and Jerry Jarrett and Dixie and all the people that gave me, Vince Russo, everybody that got in the ring with me, that helped me work them and put me over. Oh my God, one of them. That was such a great, fun match. I felt like on top of the world. Like this was our pay-per-view. I'm Trinity. I'm like Victory Road. That's my address. Like, this is where I'm gonna be. The promo. Vince Russo was awesome. They were all awesome to me. Don West, and Mike today. They used to put me. Oh my God! I could just listen to their announcement and be so excited. Just listening to them got me riled up, and like I said, I felt like I could take on the world. I was loving the wrestling part of it. Sometimes the politics in the background were another story, but I'm like, my inner child is powerful. She stays in that bubble and just enjoys life to the fullest. And every step in that ring, I was enjoying, and everybody I got to work with, I was like I said, I was like a kid in a candy store getting anything. Like, go ahead, have whatever you want, have fun, and I was, and hopefully that showed to the fans. And I have some great fans to this day that still remember me. I can't even believe it. I'm so thankful for every moment of that part.
I'm one of them right here. Me, right here.
I think sometimes too, when you ask the interview, like it's just so surreal sometimes that I just don't, you don't think of it when you're being asked, but then when you're on the podcast, it's like same thing. When you're talking about wrestling, you get in the ring. There's nothing like it. That's like right when I'm here, I feel like I'm in the ring right now, wrestling with you, talking with you. It's so amazing. I thank you for keeping pushing and wanting to interview and never giving up on me. Thank you, because this is
course
great.
I'm glad. I'm really having a lot of fun. This is like, it feels like we've already known each other for like 20 years. So another interesting I wanted to bring up, after the New York connection is no longer a group, you become the manager of Michael Shane, who many might know as the nephew of the one and only Shawn Michaels. You resume your feud with Miss Tracy Brooks, who became the manager of Chris Sabin. At the inaugural Hard Justice pay-per-view, yourself and Michael defeated by Tracy and Sabin after Brooks turned on Sabin and Shane turned on you. Interesting stuff there. But I just want to know what it was like working with Michael Shane, because that's a name that a lot of people don't hear anymore, because he was quite talented, but it seemed like after his TNA thing, he never continued on with the wrestling. Tell us a little bit about him.
Well, that was a funny story, because it was all really, I didn't feel as cohesive as all the other storylines and partners, because it was such a thrown together last minute thing, and I didn't understand why and how and the connection of it. So we tried to make the best of it, but it was like, isn't he with her? So I'm like, what's the motivation? What's going on? I guess that was my acting chops. So like, okay, I don't know how to be with this person, because we had like no connection before that. I know all these people in the locker room, and everyone's awesome. And when you get a new opportunity to work with them, it's great. But when you don't I don't know if that came across as so like great. And it was so short-lived. We did get to do that awesome cage thing. So, whatever happens, always awesome things happen out of like, whatever, you just tell me what to do. I'll do it my best. And, I'm having fun no matter what. So, but like I said, like that made more sense when they turned on us. So that was really cool, because it was like, they really didn't let us know anything. I was like, just go out and do your thing. And I'm like, well, how do you want to be? What do you want to do? And I think that was good, because it was sneaky that they were like turning on us, and it was really not known exactly.
Right.
So it was a little fun and exciting. Obviously it wasn't like fully like secretive, because we had to plan the moves, but it was like, where's this going? And then it was cool to say. But I think, right, wasn't that the cage jump? That was part of that. Wasn't that when they turned?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So that was like the biggest moment of another bigger moment of my career. I don't know if you were leading into that, but this kind of, that made me think of that right away when you talk about them, because that's what I remember with Tracy and Sabin and Shane was, I got to climb the 16-foot cage and backflip off it. And that was like a last minute. I wasn't even supposed to be at that pay-per-view. Like, if you want to hear that story, I was working on a movie. I was working on War of the Worlds, I think. And I did not want to miss the pay-per-view, but they didn't have me booked, because like I was in New York, and I'm like, I'm on my own dime. I flew back to Florida to get there. And I like literally put on I'm going to wear like what I'm going to wrestle in. I wore that on the plane, exactly what I was wearing in the show there. I wore that on the plane because I'm like, I just got to get there and be ready. I got like a last minute flight. And when I got there, Dusty Rhodes, God rest his soul, he was like, you want to jump off the cage? I'm like, yeah, I did. And I was just dressed and ready to go. That was like, I don't even think I had much, with me at wrestling. I mean, I always have my wrestling stuff, but I always have stuff that looks like it. So I like got on the plane and just gave it a shot, and they put me in, and that was another big moment. It was awesome. Again, thank you, all of TNA and everybody.
Absolutely. An incredible moment, that's for sure. And I wanted to kind of fast forward a little bit here because I'd never known what happened here and why you were no longer a part of TNA at some point. What happened there, and why weren't you in the company anymore?
Well, WWE was asking, what's the deal? Can you? I had gone to, I think their pay-per-view, One Night Stand in New York.
Right.
And Paul Heyman was like, why don't you come, like, or something like that. I was talking to, and they, was it, who the heck was it? One of their agents. He's a big name too. I can't believe it's not
Tommy Dreamer?
No. Tall, thin guy, blonde hair.
John Laurinaitis?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Isn't he have like a wrestling name? I can't believe I hit my head a lot.
Johnny Ace.
Hey, see, that's what I was, Johnny Ace.
So he was like, hey, Trinity, would you like to maybe come aboard?
Yeah. Johnny Swing was doing the show. He's like, why don't you come down? I live there. So they're like, well, you come to the Hammerstein, we'll let you in, we'll come hang out. And I think that Mick Foley was there, and he lives in Long Island. So, and he's a really good friend with a stunt coordinator that I'm really good friends with that got me into Stunt Work, and they know each other and work together. So, we met, and he was talking to Johnny. He's like, you really should come to the, WWE. And I think I still my contract, and they weren't like very happy I was leaving, and they wanted me to stay. And I really did want to stay, but how could you pass up? Every one of them have done it. Like, Jeff they all did it. And I think they were like mad at me, but I'm like, I didn't even know about team when I got in the business. I was like, all I knew was WWE, and I wanted to go there. So it was so bittersweet because I was like in such a crossroads in my, like a great moment. I was with TNA, but I have a shot if I pass, and I didn't know enough to like how to do this and what to do. And, you just want to do it. And I wanted to do it. And, I think then eventually my contract, they kept me there because they didn't release me in my contract. They kept me there, but then they were mad and that I was going. And it was so upsetting because they were like enticing me with action figures. And of course I wanted an action figure. Like WWE will have action figures. And I'm like, and when I got there, they made one of me too. And that never came out. So WWE made an action figure. It didn't come out, but it's like made. TNA made an action figure that is like in the, my friend works for the company that it's there. He called me up. It's like, your action figure is like over here. I'm like, I sent my manager to like, can he buy the rights for it? Can he buy it? I'll buy it. Nobody wants to freaking action figure. I'm like, Zach, come on. So I unfortunately I made the decision to leave. I mean, I can't say it's unfortunate because like it's WWE. They didn't really use me to like the way TNA let me do things. So it was unfortunate that I was there in my dream place, not getting to do anything that I really wanted to do. Leaving a place that like, so it was so bittersweet because it was such a kind of like a mind fuck in the business because, you're just trying to like have this great fun that I wanted to do and experience all this stuff and, go somewhere that's like, that's the mecca of it. You have to try. And they all do. They all did. Everybody did. Everybody wanted to go. Everyone wanted to try it. Everybody went to go back and forth. They're all switching. Like, why was it such a problem that, that I did it? But I think it was just the timing of it because, and then it was funny because the TNA did ask me to come back and I was getting married. I was like my wedding day, like I can't, God damn it. I was thinking of it too. Like, unfortunately I got divorced, so like I should have just did it because there was a problem. But they called me and I'm like, and I didn't tell them why, because I'm like, I don't, just call me again like in a month from now or something.
Yeah.
I think someone did. Why didn't you tell us you were getting married? I'm like, because all this stuff in my brain, like, should I go? I can postpone this. Well, that person, again, all these things that come in my head, and I'm like, I'm like an adult, but like I said, my inner child's very strong. My kid in me wants to just like, maybe doesn't always make the right decisions, and like my kid and adult are fighting, and so I don't know if I burn a bridge with them, but like I always try to say and let them know that I'm so grateful and thankful for everything they did for me, and always apologetic if I did anything wrong and made bad blood. But what a career! It's a whirlwind. That business is a very mind boggling business, and that's why a lot of the people, what happens with them and what's going on, and I'm like, I think like, I don't drink, I don't do drugs. I was like the ideal employee, but I don't, always on time, always respectful, always just like, you think you'd want to work with me, but I think that maybe you just have to do that and be that to be there, because it's
Yeah, absolutely. And, I want to talk about you being brought into the WWE. And I didn't realize that your exit with TNA coincided with you being a part of WWE. So now I know. Now I have that information, and I'm chuffed. I'm chuffed. You're going to be put with the FBI. Tony Mamaluke and Little Guido. Perfect fit for you, obviously. When you found out you were going to be a part of the FBI, you must have been excited by that. And please, can you tell me a little bit about the idea behind the caution tape?
I will. There's a great story about that. So, of course, I'm excited again. Like, whatever you want to do with me, this guy, like, I felt like you could do anything with me. You could put me anywhere. I will work anywhere. I mean, like, I'm like a chameleon, really. I mean, I could be like total tomboy, the Italian. You want to put me in a dress, whatever. I'm like, I'll make it work, and I'm going to get in the ring and give it all I got, So you have all that to work with. So when they put me there, I'm like, this is great. And it could have went, again, so many different ways. Like, I could have been, but they really never even really established that, which was upsetting, because I'm like, I love this. We're trying to make it work. We're like, make it happen. But there was no, I don't know, maybe we were supposed to make a storyline out of it, because I'm like, I could have been his girlfriend, his sister, and people are flirting with me, and he's pissed at her, people are messing with his sister. He wants to fight everybody, or like, and again, I don't know enough. Like, I was so green in that I didn't know enough to like, push more, do more, say more, whatever, like I didn't want to make mistakes, it's like, it is like going into a business with no contract or rule book, or like literally you walk in and, I had a lot on my mind too, because the women were hazing me. Oh my God, it was terrible.
Really?
I was getting in the beginning. Yeah, it was not as welcoming as TNA. Like TNA, I think everybody was just trying to be there and fit in and make it work and make a company, where WWE is very much more established. But you would also think that's like $1 billion industry, so professional. Like, I also come from Stunt Work. I'm not like a kid. I'm not a 20-year-old, and I'm coming from such a professional business that I walk in thinking this is such a professional business, and I felt like you were so left in the dark. Like,
right,
do how to be, and and I'm like, I'm very professional. I feel like I would know how to be, and I did walk in thinking I know how to be, but they teach you very differently.
Right. What will they do to haze you? Well,
I was hired to work there, and I'd go into the women's locker room, and they would like throw my stuff out of the locker room.
Really?
Yeah. Or you can't be in that corner. I'm like, am I in high school?
Oh my gosh, that's so annoying.
And I was very respectful. I walked in because when I went to I think I went to OVW first, and you're in a little room like the size of this. I'm like, oh my God, this is WWE. We're literally wrestling in this place, and you know, it was less than TNA. Like we were like girls had a little room. So you walk in and I'm like, I left my stuff in the middle because I'm like, obviously these girls all have been here longer than me. They're picking their spots. So I felt like I waited for everybody to pick their spot. And I kind of then got my spot. I got like yelled at by 3 girls, like, get out, that's my spot. Like, okay, we're in a square little, literally closet. Like, where do you want me to go? I'm like, and so, all right, but that's like little, they're not, you know, we're not really at WWE yet. So then when I got to WWE, like, it's like giant locker rooms, like giant. And you go in and they're like throwing my stuff out, like, oh, you're not really here yet. You don't just get to walk in. And the hair and makeup people were rude to me the whole beginning. Like they wouldn't do my hair. They literally wouldn't do my hair and makeup. And I had to go to photo shoots. And I'd get to the photo shoot and the guy was like, I would do my own hair and makeup. And then he would be like, are you going to get your hair and makeup done? And I'd be like, the professionals won't do it. Like, so I'm just trying to make it like, oh my God, it was horrible. I'm like, I think like I cried the whole first week I was there. Like, not really, but I would go with my mom, like, really? I should just body slam somebody. But I can't because they're all wrestlers.
Yeah, that's
like it was like shocking to go into that like that. But I, you know, again, I don't care. I made it work, whatever. But disappointing, shocking, and then like, all right, now you're like, like I said, I just like stepping in the ring. Like once you pass the curtain, all that melted away, and I didn't care. I'm like, you're in heaven, you know. So that 10, 15, 20 minutes would have to like, you know, erase the 2-4 hours in the back with everybody. But some, you know, yeah, you always have like some people are nice, but I feel like WWE is like very, you know, everybody just like had the knife on their back and, you know, being your friend. Like, I think everybody was worried about it. You know, everybody is like, felt like no one was comfortable there, you know, even the ones that were there, because obviously they should have been welcoming and not worried. You know, where I'm coming from, stunt business, that, you know, we're all family, take care of each other, your lives are, you know, same thing kind of with wrestling, your lives are on the line, you are protecting each other, you could all get hurt in this, both industries. So you would think that, you know, but maybe it was just me, I don't know, they're tight, I guess, but I loved it anyway, regardless.
It's not you, trust me, it's not you, it's them. Okay, I know that you're wonderful and that's all there is to it. Okay.
We made it work because I was there for a while, enough that it finally, like I said, they were hazing, because then eventually the hair maker be like, you want us to do your hair? And I'm like, I'm not. Right. Then they let me in the locker room and it was nice. So, but I was just shocked at that point. It was funny.
Right.
Like, that in my life.
I'm surprised that the hair and makeup people were also in on it. But I wanted to bring it back to the caution tape. You said there was a story behind that.
Well, it was funny because I had the caution tape was way before WWE. I done a photo shoot even before TNA, where my friend was like, yeah, but I was doing it to get into the wrestling business. I think it was like when I was on the Indies. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do a photo shoot. I'm going to make, you know, outfits and gimmicks. And my girlfriend was like, caution tape, and there was chains in the studio we were shooting. And she's like, you should put it across here. And so I had pictures way before, you know, TNA doing that, like right before TNA getting in. So how come I brought it back? This is a funny story of this. How come I brought it back as WWE is when they wanted me to go into those bathing suit contests. To be honest, I'm like, I was going up against Kelly, and I'm like, she's a Barbie doll, a 19-year-old Barbie doll. I'm like, there's no way I'm putting on a bikini, G-string, and competing against the Barbie doll. So I'm like, I have to do something like wow factor. I have to do something that I feel comfortable in, and I can go out there and like, and it's fun and wild. And I'm like, I'm putting my fishnets, my booty shorts, and my boots on, and I'm putting the caution tape on, and you know, she was younger. She didn't really, you know, she's hot, but she's still very awkward with herself. I'm like, I know how to dance, I know how to move. I'm like, I'm gonna do my little with the caution tape, and that's what I'm like. I could do that. I feel comfortable with that. And then that was born in a lot. And it's funny. I'm like, I don't have to go out and buy 15 bathing suits. I like the construction guys had rolls of caution tape. Like, I need some caution tape. Can I borrow that? And then there was like danger tape. There was like, I started finding tape all over the place. There was like, on Halloween, we did a show. There was like a Halloween caution tape. I have so much of it saved. It's so funny. And then I used to like give it away. Like, throw it into the crowd, which is funny. I used to make them think that I was like ripping it off. Sorry, I'm giving away a bad secret. I used to pretend, and once I got my robe off, I was ripping it off and giving it to them, but I had like one rolled up in my boot. I think that's because I couldn't get them off. It was so like sweat and stuck to me.
That's fantastic.
Stuck on by pure gravity and sweat. And a knot, a really good knot.
I just randomly thought of this, but did you get along with Francine all right?
In the beginning, yes, but I think like, it's just so funny when people are in something longer than you. They just do, like, that's how I had most of my my grief through wrestling. Like everybody was in it longer than me. So when I come along and you're, like TNA, that's why we never got, we skipped right over the Lex Luger, but good thing, because it's not a good story. But she was in it longer than me, so she didn't like that I was getting pushed. That's why I think Mercedes was a little hard on me, because they're in it longer, and I was getting a push, I guess, which not my fault. That's the company's. Just like when the girls that win the WWE contest and came, like Ashley, she just came. They win. It's not their fault. It's like they give us this push. We come in, and we want to work hard. Like I trained and wrestled hard. Maybe I didn't have like sleeping on my floor or in a car like for 2 years. I'm sorry. That's just like not my life. But I feel like I paid my dues in a different way. And these women, just people didn't feel that way. So Francine, we got along, all of us, when we were shoved together as ECW, we all got along great, traveled together. But like one little thing, nothing. It was just like questioning something, and and then no one traveled anymore, and it's like we're all separate. But we still got to wrestle, and we did things, and it works. It's just it's putting come on, think about it. Putting a lot of girls together at once is not. Something's always gonna happen.
I understand. One thing I wanted to bring up was June 24th, 2006, there's an ECW house show. You injure yourself on a moonsault, I guess, to the outside, I would assume. What happened?
My worst memory in wrestling. That's my worst memory.
I'm sorry.
No, it's life. And it's just so unfortunate because I do that flip like in my sleep, and I think that, I was getting like mixed things in my head from like, don't do it, from people like, why are you going to do that? It's a house show. It's on TV. And I'm like, I don't care. I want to do it. And then, it's like, okay, it's going to be a body count. It's going to guess her. And you should do your thing because it's in that famous arena. And it was just so much like hype. And I still don't think that's what did it. I think that it really just came down to that I just was stupid. I like was barefoot and I didn't. Yeah, I took my boots off and I didn't have any padding on. No big deal. I've done it. I was not worried about that. I just got like bad footing on the rope and I pushed off. I was on an angle and I just missed and I wasn't landing on anybody. She was like, she gets out of the way and I'm landing on the pad, which again, I felt secure, like enough to do it. But I think that when I pushed off crooked, I thought I was going to hit the guardrail. So like I moved and it was just unfortunate. I missed the pad and I think I like hit the pad, but then the concrete, I shattered my kneecap.
Shit. That does suck.
That was actually one of the worst injuries. I was like, where was I again? Phil? I was somewhere, not New York. I wasn't by my house. I wasn't by anybody.
Must have been the ECW arena. Yeah.
Yeah. Was that Philly or?
Philadelphia. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't with anyone I know. They took good care of me, but like I never like to admit that I'm hurt, so they didn't really know the extent of it. And like I didn't get crutches. Then they finally found crutches. I drove myself. I was, I didn't really know again the protocol, and I just like didn't want to make waves or nothing. So I was like, I was like a lord, and it was just a dreadful injury. But then they took care of me. I went to Alabama and got my surgery, but dreadful because it was like right in the middle of like the start of stuff, and it kind of puts damper on the WWE thing, so maybe it really wasn't WWE that used me. It was like that happened, but I like rehabbed so quick. Did I rehab quick from that? No, that was, I tore my ACL at TNA, right? You skipped over that. I had tore my ACL at TNA and in 2005 and then 2007 was the kneecap. That was a little longer, but I fixed it as quick as possible. And I was like, I want to work. And I think I did didn't I wrestle Jazz on a
You
dark
did.
night?
You wrestled Jazz on some ECW house shows on October 7th and 8th of 2006.
And that was my dream, to wrestle her. She was awesome. She was so nice. And, we both had, like, I was just coming out of injury. She hasn't been in the ring a while. So it was like, she was so wonderful because she was like, let's have a great match. But, we're like both a little rusty. So let's be good to each other. But that was like my dream from when I got into TNA. I'm like, I wanted to wrestle her. Like, I used to see her, like, oh my God, she's awesome. I mean, of course I wanted to wrestle everybody. Lita, Chyna, almost was there with TNA. And then that fell through. We were supposed to have a match.
Really?
Yeah, we were supposed to have a match in TNA, Chyna and me. And like, she was there in the works talking and something, like, I don't know what happened. I don't think she wanted to lose to me. I don't know really what happened.
Damn, that would have been cool.
So bummed. I was like, that was another amazing thing. I would have loved to. Trish was gone before I got there. And Lita was just leaving.
Right, really? Yeah. Okay, because I wanted to bring that up because it's like Moonsault versus Moonsault. At this stage, 2006, I'm 19 years old. I've been a fan of yours now for, is that 5 years? No, 4 years. So I find out that you're going to be in WWE's ECW. And I'm like, okay, well, she's in the company. There's going to be a point where she and Lita are going to surely have a match. It makes so much sense. But of course, WWE, their thought process is, well, whatever you did before here doesn't matter. So to them, that's not a dream match to them. But to me, that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see that match between you two because...
You know what? It's sad that people told me like WWE just wants to take you from TNA, to take away their star and where they're going and bench you. Like, I don't know. Like, that's what everyone's telling me. That's what they want to do. They just want to take out all their good people and then, kind of like crush them and make it like forget so that they don't succeed, which I'm like, I don't really believe because everybody was going back and forth. So I'm like, it sounded like kind of, all right, maybe, but yes, I and it's so funny, this story with Lita's, because like that's who my friends were watching back then. And I think I was dating some guy and he used to like love her and mark out to her. And I'd be like, I can do that. And I think that's exactly when like I broke up with him. I went to train and literally like 2 months or 4 months, I was on TV and he called me up and he's like, I can't believe you're wrestling on TV. He's like, I think that I should take credit for that. Like, oh yeah, Lita. I'm like, I could do that. I could do what she does. But I think I think that's when I started watching wrestling. Because like I said, I didn't really watch a lot of wrestling when I was younger. And when I would start watching it and they were becoming very like athletic and physical and doing all the flips off the rope, I was very intrigued with that. I'm like, ooh, that looks like fun. I could do that. I want to do that. And that's when, I started considering thinking about it and getting into it. And I think my school right away, I'm like, I want to jump off the ropes and do everything. Teach me those. But another interesting story, because you won't even know about this. So the video games, Johnny Swinger and Kid Cash were working on one of the video games with a stunt coordinator that I work with. So I wasn't even anywhere near the wrestling business yet. And I had gone to the video game with the stunt coordinator. And I'm like, oh, I love wrestling. So he invited me to go there and I met them too. Didn't even know, like isn't it funny how full circle that I winded up meeting and working with both of them. And I met them like way before I even knew I wanted to go into wrestling. I went to one of the video games and I was doing all the moves. Like, they were showing me all those moves. I'm like, I didn't even know how to do them yet. And they would show me once and I would do it. And I laughed because I'm like, oh my God, I met Johnny Swinger and Kid Cash and I met them now in the wrestling business and worked with both of them. And they were like 2 people I met before all of it.
That's crazy.
Well, yeah, right? It's done correct at them. But, yeah, that should have been a match. There should be so many matches. There should have been like, and all the TNA, when I watched them, I should have wrestled Gail Kim and Khan.
Yeah. You should have been there. It's such a shame. Exactly. And you know what? There's something else that takes place. And I'm pretty sure this happened. I'm not sure if I dreamt it or if it actually happened. I'm pretty sure it happened. But Balls Mahoney was like, he was doing a bit of extreme strip poker. And he was, this this happened, right? It did happen.
I'm
And
like, did it really happen?
it did happen, right? Because I'm like, wait a minute, Balls Mahoney had the little hat on and he was dealing the cards, and there was extreme strip poker, and I'm sure this garnered quite a lot of ratings. I found this to be hilarious, this whole thing, because I think within the show, little segments here and there would pop up. Tell me a little bit about that and how fun that was to shoot.
Oh yeah, it was fun. I mean, like when I went to wrestle though, I really just wanted to wrestle. And even at TNA, like in the beginning, I was nervous. I'm like, I hope they don't want me to do like be naked and do stupid stuff. Like I wasn't like, I literally, like if you saw like you said, you were a fan, but you were younger. But if you saw like the progression of me, I had like long pants and, I was very covered in the beginning. Obviously, I got comfortable and I worked through my insecurities, but I was very covered and I wanted to be taken serious and I wanted to wrestle. I always had like long pants and my shirt or like my sports top and looked like a superhero. And I didn't, and TNA respected that. They were so respectful of me. They like never ask me to do anything that I was uncomfortable with or didn't want to do. And it all just happened naturally because I think I had so many wardrobe malfunctions. I literally had 2 major malfunctions, but again, the cameras went off. They were like so respectful of me. I always appreciate it. And yet that's why like I got, I always had awesome clothing, and I think I got like sexier and sexier with my outfits as time progressed, because I'm like I'll give it up because they never made me or asked me or pressured me or made me feel uncomfortable in that. I always loved that I got to do what I wanted, how I wanted, when I wanted, and get comfortable coming up. And then WWE was funny. You just felt like you had to keep up with the Joneses, and you had to be like I think that's why I did the caution tape too, because I'm like, oh my god, and you knew you had to do lingerie matches like that. In my mind, when I got there's going to be those lingerie battle royales, so I'm like, yeah. But then funny, in the middle of working there, they were like they made us all like cover up. They were like, no, they had to okay our outfits, and we weren't allowed to wear a lot of stuff. They got rid of the course. They wouldn't let me wear that anymore. So they were really then trying to clean up, because I think everybody was always trying to outdo each other. They were just it was getting crazy like, for the fans and the guys. But I think that they were like, all right, we got to stop. We got to put a little halt on this. And then it still came, it still peaked out. But they made us change our wardrobes drastically. But that's funny. So the poker thing was like fun, and but me, I wanted to wrestle, like, so that was like it was definitely fun. I'm actually an awesome poker player, but we weren't really playing. But I was like, I'm gonna play because I love poker. I'm very competitive.
Well, if you've known Glenn Gilberti through your time in life, surely you would be good at poker at some point. I know he's a big fan.
I never got to play with him, but we got a lot of tournaments here.
I think one of my favorite, because it is real. There is a quote from you during the Extreme Strip Poker, which I think, and I apologize for my bad New York Italian American accent here, but I'm pretty sure you said, "You know who I think is hot? John Cena."
Did I?
Because all the girls were talking about who they thought was hot.
That must have been written in the script.
Had to be, right? Surely.
Had to be. I don't think I really see me ever saying that ever about it. So it came out, as long as it's I don't think it's hot. That's fun. You know what's so funny about John Cena? I'm working there a while, and so he sent his guy over to kind of say, "Oh, you want to come to the show and see me and like give me tickets?" And I'm like, I work here. So
really?
Up in the back, and he sent his guy over to tell him I work here.
Oh my god, that is hilarious.
As a fan, he was hitting on me, but not as a wrestler.
It's fantastic.
That is funny. I have some funny stories.
Oh boy, that's really
that one was coming up my head and I forgot it though. But, yeah.
Fantastic. So just towards the tail end of your time in WWE, or WWECW as a lot of people like to call it, you do team with Kelly in a couple of matchups. And I know you'd mentioned her before, how she was 19. I mean, that's crazy to me. She's 19. I mean, I was 19 at this. Actually, you know what? That's funny. I remember Kelly was born on the same day of the same year. That she's got the same date of birth as me. So I was 19 watching her. She was 19 on television.
Wow.
I forgot about that. But what was it like? She wasn't very experienced wrestling in the ring, but how was it teaming with her?
Oh yeah, she was so sweet, and I didn't mind it. And it you know what's funny? Like this was cool because like Vince came up to me. He's like, help her work. But it was funny because I'm like, I would ask him. He was great. I loved him, and no one ever really asks. Well, sometimes people ask how like it is to work with him, but I did ask because now I'm there. Well, and I did ask him. I'm like, I forget exactly what I said, but I'm like, something along the lines with that. And he goes, because if I put you over, then she like you'll just drown her. And they were trying to put her over. So
right,
it's like, how come I can't do this? And I was like, oh, because you'll just like bury her, So it was a compliment, but it was like, but we're putting her over, not you.
Right.
But I did understand that, but then I was like, okay, that sucks for me. But
yeah,
but he was very good to explain things, and he was great to work with. When I did work, I'm always respectful and nice.
that's cool.
Yeah.
So what led to you leaving the?
Oh, that was so. You know what? They just let me go. It was so. I remember the call. I was so sad, and it was like the knife in the heart. I was like, Johnny Laurinaitis was like, yeah, we'll release your contract. It's like I'm like, why? And he's like, we just don't have anything. I'm like, what? Like that's like the lamest excuse ever in the whole
job. That's their job, is to have something.
And what, you don't have anything? I'm like, I could literally work. I actually did then start speaking up. Like I went to Dusty, because we worked together. And I'm like, I came up with like great valet. They didn't want me to work with. They came up with this. It was Orlando.
Jordan,
yeah, I could. And they had this gimmick. They asked me, like, would I mind, teaming up, and like, it was a weird trio that they had us in. It was like he was, goes both ways, and he had a girl and a guy, and they were like asking me if I would do that, and I'm thinking at this point it's like this is a job. I'm like, this is what you do. It's not real, so just do the best you can. But so I was like getting all set up. He's like, you guys are going to be like rocked out in gowns and like the nines and jewelry. So I'm like, oh, I got to get some dresses and some jewelry. And I was all ready for it. And then it just never, I think that he got released or something happened.
Yeah. Look, I'm not gonna be Mr. Controversy here, but there's something about Orlando Jordan that's not quite right. And I think
I was very oblivious of everything. I'm just like, whatever you ask me to do, I'm at work. But yeah, I mean, I was kind of glad 'cause it's not exactly the way I wanted to go in the company, but at least they were finding something. Like, what, like, how can you not find something for me to do? I'm like, I came up with like, there was this cover of one of the magazines, like Vogue, and it was like 2 Dobermans with these like collars with like chains, and this hot chick holding them. And again, it was like Kid Cash was like, why don't you ask to be like valet him? And they were the Pitbulls.
Him and I think Jamie Noble.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, how cool. And this magazine cover was just like, they have the collars on. I'm like, could you imagine like I'm walking out with them on chains, collars, like it's stilettos, and like just something. It would have been cool. I could get involved.
Definitely.
Like that. I was actually coming up and giving, and I was actually opening my mouth and going and trying to give these ideas. I'm like, there's so much that you could do, even against, those other, now am I confusing TNA with WWE? That girl Cherry, was that TNA?
Cherry was in WWE, yeah.
That was WWE, right? Because she had that gimmick going. I'm like, there's so, I'm like,
you might be thinking of Linda Miles. She was with the Bashams, and she was kind of like, she was dressed in leather, and she had a kind of whip, and it was kind of BDSM type thing. Is that what you're thinking of?
Well, no, the girl on the roller skates.
Oh, the roller skates. Okay.
Roller skates. But I don't remember that game. But what's funny is I'm like, I'm like, I know how to do whips. I'm like, with the I had such a great idea with the whole caution tape, with my gimmick, with wrestling with people and being like, you know, caution. And I lay down caution tape, do my flip, and then the magazine thing. I had like, you know, I come up with like whole storylines in my head when I'm like, I think of ideas. And so it was just so unfortunate that that's what he told me and let me go. Like, we have nothing for you. Like,
oh, and when I found out, I was fuming. I was fuming because my hopes were up as a fan of yours. My hopes were up to see you wrestle, have all these dream matches with all these, you know, ladies that were on TV.
It was like such a crushing blow. Cause I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, and you know, when I was there, it's so funny too. Cause like Kurt Angle, like when we would train in the ring, like literally one time I was wrestling in the ring and training and everybody just started like coming over and like, Kurt Angle was like, oh my God, and a Big Show, and Rey Mysterio came up to me. He's like, oh my God, you're awesome. I wanted to meet you. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I like emulate you. I'm like, all that stuff I do. Like, I use your 619 and call it the 516. I'm like, I literally watch you and you're coming up to me. And like when I actually would get a chance to get in the ring and wrestle, like people like compliment. So I'm like, how can I be going anywhere? I'm like, who did I piss off? Like, make mad. That was shit you had to worry about. I heard that I did. Like, I heard all these like rumors after I left, like that I got let go because I beat up a girl, like I punched some girl. I'm like, oh my God, like never happened. Like never. I was like, wouldn't touch. I was like so respectful. Like I feel like I should have spoke up more because people were being disrespectful. I'm like, you know, I don't want to get in trouble and make waves and I'm like, oh, I got let go anyway. I should have punched.
Exactly. At least you would have got that.
Because there was like little issues. Like Queen Charmel was like the head of our locker room, kind of. And there was one time she like called me up. She's like, we have to have a talk. I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? And I never got to go have that talk with her. I was like, oh, so I'm like, maybe that was the reason. So I like have no idea. I have no idea the politics. Like I said, when you went there, you were like so in the dark. You were like walking around on eggshells, wondering like what to do all the time. And I'm like, I don't know if that's with everyone or I'm just, you know, I was so new. But that was the unfortunate thing. I feel like I wish it was more of a professional company that like let you know what like to do. So
I understand.
Yeah, they just wanted you to come in there and do your thing and see where you went and how you went. So that's why I was always on the fence. Like, should have I been like such like more of who I wanted to be, and then you know maybe like that, you know, pushed more and been open and verbal and loud, and that's like become a character. You know, be the character. You had to make your own characters.
Absolutely. And I wanted to bring it to 2013. It's a little while after this time period in WWE, but you do wrestle on that TNA all women's pay-per-view against ODB. From my research, this is the final match you've had at this point. Please tell me if it's incorrect, but how did this come about and how did you feel about it?
I was very honored to be asked. I mean, it's like all women's pay-per-view. It's awesome. I'm like, come on, you should think. And I feel, you know, they're still doing some things like that, and I get upset when I don't get like considered because I'm like, wow, you're forgotten. It's kind of a bummer, but that was awesome. I was so glad to be asked that. Again, bittersweet though, because like you come back and you're like, this is going to be like you get to show, but you don't really get to show. And like, what's it going to be? You know, like, is it worth coming back? If you're just going to get like jobbed out and like forgotten or, you know, like what, you know, so like I wanted to, but I was on the fence for a long time, but I'm like, I'm just going to go do it. I want to get in the ring. I want to like feel that feeling again. But, you know, it was like a gimmick match and jobbed out. It was cool, but it was cool to be there. It was like I said, bittersweet. It was a weird environment, you know, like that used to be my locker room, and it was like a whole new world, you know, and it was so much bigger than, you know, our little tight knit group. Like there was so much going on. It was like, you know, so it was a lot of, you know, there was so many people there and different. And I think that was going to be like one of their last times there. So they were like in a whole movie thing. Cause then I was talking to people about like, Dudley. The Dudley Boys asked me if I would come and do a gimmick and be kind of like, I thought this was great too. Like this went nowhere. They asked me, you know, like the woman on from Married with Children.
Oh, Peg
But
Bundy.
she did that. What show was she in with the
Oh,
biker?
you're talking about Sons of Anarchy. Yeah.
So he was like, "Do you want to be that kind of character with our group?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, hell yeah!"
that would have been really cool.
Right? So fitting to be that like character. And again, didn't come to fruition. But it was like once I got over and I started seeing all the people I knew and talking, and they brought that up like another gimmick. It's so like, yes, you guys thinking.
Yeah, you could have been a part of that group, the Aces and Eights. That's what they were called.
I guess that's what it was. I really didn't know because like I wasn't super watching things. But
No, fair enough. I wasn't watching at that point either. But
you could do that. I'm like, hell yeah, I fit that character so well. Like
absolutely.
So it was like great to be there a little bit. Like I don't even think I did my moonsault. I don't even think I did that at the end. Like they cut the match and it was like,
oh right.
Yeah. So again, good to be there, good to be back. But it was like it wasn't Trinity really. I didn't feel like I got to be Trinity. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to ask this before we're getting right to the end here, Trinity. But I wanted to ask you about your thoughts on the women's revolution, as they call it, what's going on today, how, women are being portrayed much more prominently on television and being given way more opportunities. And they had the Women's Royal Rumble match. They had that WWE Women's Pay-Per-View, even though actually TNA did it in 2013, but they did do a women's pay-per-view. It's not the first of its kind. There are a lot of women's companies out there that are solely women. But from your perspective, I'm sure you're probably not watching because I'm not watching wrestling as much either. But I guess you would have heard or maybe seen this whole thing take place. How do you feel about that? And do you feel like you kind of missed the boat there?
Well, it feels like that's always with everything I do. It's like I'm way ahead of my time. And yes, I feel like that it came so late and then I'm out and, kind of, but unfortunately, don't really watch, but, more power to the women and everybody and what they're doing. And I know there's definitely talented wrestlers out there and, and it's sad. I don't really have a lot to say about it because I don't really watch.
Fair enough. That's fine. That's fine.
People always ask me, "Do you ever get back in the ring?" There's always, I never shut the door for anything, and I'm still in tip-top shape. I mean, playing roller derby, working out, stunts. I mean, yeah, we were on a hiatus through this pandemic and everything, but I know the one thing that didn't go down was wrestling during the pandemic. They were essential. I'm like, I wish that I was doing that right now. I'd be working out, I'd be physical, and be, doing stuff. That was awesome. But just such a great memory and great, part of my life. And I love going, like, when I watch stuff and I'm like watching moves and going off I'm on the edge of my seat ready to like jump off the cage again and do that. So it's always great talking about it and bringing up and going over memories, good, bad, and different. It's all awesome.
Absolutely, and I'm saying this right here, right now. You heard it here first, folks. Okay, if there's an opportunity out there, this is a lady you should bring in. And taking one look at you, Trinity, you're drinking from the fountain of youth. I'm looking at my watch. I'm thinking, and I'm looking at the date on my computer, and I'm like, this isn't 2021, is it? Is it still 2004? What is going on here? I'm right there. Boom. There you go.
My pose, I was such a poser. I'm like, it's so funny because Stunt Work, we were always taught, like, don't look at the camera, we're doubling somebody and always fall away. And when I first got to TNA, I was camera shy. I'm so used to like not looking. And they were like, you got to give me a beauty shot. And I'm like, I'm so. And if you see that too, I was like very uncomfortable in the beginning. Eventually, like, got so out of that. I'm like, I love posing. I'm a poser.
So before I get to 5-second frenzy, 2 more questions. First one, do you have any particular regrets of your time in the wrestling business?
I don't know if I could say it's regrets, but I like, I don't, what I don't like? I don't like that if I felt like I did something wrong with TNA when I left, or if I did something wrong that caused, WWE to let me go. Like, that annoys me because, like, not knowing like why they really let me go and if they're mad at me. But it is what it is. Like I gave my blood, sweat, and tears to both companies. I loved what I did. I loved wrestling. I loved the fans. I like broke both my knees for wrestling. I put it all out there, and I gave, what did they say? Life and limb. I was like giving, I just loved it and wanted to be great and wanted to have fun. And so I can't say I have regrets, if like there's something, and it's one thing about me, I'm like upfront and honest. If like somebody wanted to come and say you did this, I would like be like, I'm sorry, and I didn't know. And I was struggling in that business to get through it, and it's not an easy road. So anyone that is getting into it, be ready to have thick skin and work hard and take bumps and bruises mentally and physically. And, but if you love it, stick with it and try not to let people jade you like that. Thank God I always had like my inner child that was like, when I was getting this end of it, I was like, just step past the curtain and it all goes away. And oh my God, when I did that, WrestleMania, what was it? 23, I think I was in. We didn't even talk about that, but it was like the
wow, were you part of that 25? Was it like 25 women in a
Stone Cold Steve Austin? He was like big. He just did his first movie. I forget which one it was. We were at Detroit and Ford Field in Detroit. In Detroit, it was amazing. It was over 82,000 people. It was bigger than Super Bowl. When I walked into that arena before anything, just when we got there, right now thinking of it, I have chills, all of it. It was so surreal and amazing. I went up in the stands and I was like, so overcome by the emotion. And when I was called first to come out for the lunch, like stepping past that curtain, there's nothing, I don't even think there's anything that really could compare and, describe it. It's like at a loss for words, tongue tied. It was amazing. Oh my God.
Wow. I wasn't aware that you were a part of that.
Yeah.
That's a fault of me with my research.
I didn't even think of it till like now we're like wrapping up, but I got to be part of a WrestleMania and
that's awesome. That's amazing. And I'm so glad that you got to experience that, for somebody that wanted to be a part of this company for so long. So that's awesome to hear. So, okay, the last question before 5 Second Frenzy, Trinity, is all your fans out there, they're wondering what's going on with Trinity. What are you up to these days? The floor is yours.
Like I feel like after the pandemic, it's like I'm like so up in the air, but like slowly, getting back, we're back in, filming again and stuff, and and I'm just enjoying life. I like ride my horse all the time and training with that, and nothing major. That's sometimes why, like, when I have to do an interview, I'm like, okay, I have nothing to promote, nothing to push, nothing major going on. So like, why would you want to interview? But we always have so much to talk about. But this part, it's like, living, I don't know, might be moving to Florida. I don't know. I'm racing boats and cars, and I got some nice cars and toys playing with all the time.
Fantastic.
Yeah, playing with a lot of toys.
Excellent. I hope there's a few boy toys involved.
Yeah, going 175 in boats and 220 in cars. I think it's enough. So.
Fair enough. Okay, Trinity. This is the segment here. It's called 5 Second Frenzy. We call it 5 Second Frenzy because you're supposed to have 5 seconds to answer each question because it's supposed to be quick fire. Boom, 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 boom. But if you need longer, it's okay. You won't get in trouble, and even if you were to get in trouble, there's nothing I can do about it because I think you could whip my butt. So,
you think I could answer it? My long-winded answers on everything.
Well, you are Italian, so I know how Italians are. First one, Trinity. Who is your favorite wrestler?
Me. No. Can't think of one. That's so crazy. I can't do 5 seconds. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull this off. 5 seconds.
It's okay. Well, don't no pressure. If you need a little bit longer, that's okay. I'll give you a pass.
Yeah, unfortunately with me right now. Because
okay, look, that's fine if that's your answer. That's totally cool. Who was your favorite opponent over the years?
Desire.
Excellent. If you could pick one match that was your favorite match to perform in, what would you say?
The one versus Kid Cash. I wish I would tell that story because that's a great story.
Excellent. Okay, we're finally getting away from wrestling here. What is your favorite book?
Oh, Conversations with God.
Fantastic. Favorite TV show?
Friends, probably, just because I like to laugh and be light.
Excellent. Favorite film?
Oh my God, I do have it on I can't believe I can't think of it. I know exactly what it is. Count of Monte Cristo right now. I think that's what I'm going to say.
Very nice. Favorite musical artist?
Johnny Lang.
Very nice. Favorite food?
Oh, fajitas, probably.
Awesome.
Breakfast.
What would you say is your favorite place to eat on the road?
Eat on the road? Oh my God. These are crazy questions. You should give me notes before we do this. On the road. Oh, Cracker Barrel on the road.
Excellent. We get that quite a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're a drinker, but favorite alcoholic beverage?
Margarita, frozen margarita.
Very good.
Especially right now, I probably have those a lot.
So look, I haven't had many ladies on the show. I think maybe at this point, April Hunter, Goldilocks, British Bulldog's daughter, Georgia Smith. I've had maybe 4 or 5 ladies on the show. So usually this question is, what is your favorite female body part? Because most of the time I'm talking to men. But we're going to flip the script. It is favorite male body part. What is something when you're going to check out a good-looking guy? What is something that you like to look at first?
Arms, but like if I really like those like right by the pants line, that like muscle line that goes to that.
The groin V.
Yeah, kind of like that. Like, yeah.
The V that's pointing toward the promised land. Is that what you're talking about?
But yeah, probably looking. I'm like, yeah, I'm an overall bigger picture everything looker, but arms and that thing. But that you don't always see that, so.
Right, that's true. The groin V. If anyone out there wants to see the groin V, check out Brad Pitt in Fight Club. I'm telling you right now, that's where it's at. And lastly, Trinity, the final one here for 5 Second Frenzy. What is your favorite curse word?
Probably F. I don't like the curse.
I'll say it for you. Trinity's favorite curse word is fuck, ladies and gentlemen. Well, Trinity, I want to really thank you for your time here today. It's been so fun for me to have the chance to talk to you and talk like we're old friends, like we've known each other for years, and have a laugh. And I always say this on every show, but it rings so true. I live in Perth, Western Australia, the most isolated city in the world. And the fact that you had the reach to go all the way over here and have me be a massive fan of yours, I just want to say, I hope you're so proud of what you've accomplished in your life with all your stunt work and what you've done in wrestling, because little old 15-year-old me was just, you know, had love hearts in my eyes. Like when Bugs Bunny sees the girl bunny and the love hearts shoot out of my eyes. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I want you to know that someone so far away appreciated what you did because you were such a badass.
That makes it everything so worth it. And I'm like, my face literally hurts from smiling and laughing so much this hour. And we should have did this sooner, but it's awesome that it finally came about. I'm so happy and glad that we did this.
Me too, my friend. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you. And I just want to thank you once again for being on the show, because it meant a lot to me to talk to someone that I guess in a way, like I kind of looked up to you when I was, a teenager, thinking like, wow, she's so incredible at what she does.
Thank you so much for making me feel so good and like making me think about how great this time in my life was. And I appreciate it. That's like so awesome. So awesome to know that, you made people happy because,
Absolutely. And I hope after this, you're going to be floating on cloud 9 for the rest of the day.
I feel like it. I am. Awesome. I definitely am going to be. That's without a doubt for sure.
Wonderful. That makes me feel good. So thank you again, Trinity.
So good. Thank you.
And thank you everyone out there for watching the Insider's Edge podcast here on the WZWA Network in conjunction with Blue Wire Hustle. I'm your host with the most on the West Coast, California and Fury, in a very nice blue velvet jacket with my new friend, my old crush, Trinity. And we will see you next time. Thank you.